फेथ होता है, बिलीफ होता है, बहुत सारी बातें होती है रिलीजन में। लेकिन औरोबिंदो घोष रिलीजन से हर चीज नहीं ले रहे हैं। He is not saying that India is only for Hindus or only for Muslims, or the land should be only for one religious community. So his nationalism is not community based. समझने का प्रयास करो. You have to understand his idea first, because many people consider him as a Hindu right wing, but it is wrong to say that Aurobindo Ghosh comes into the Hindu right wing. He loves Hinduism, not Hindus. And only the human version of Hinduism. हिंदुइज्म में इंसानियत को अचीव करने के लिए. तो अब यहां पे समझो इसने रिलीजन को कैसे रिलेट किया है नेशनलिज्म से. ही सेज दैट इन हिंदू मिथोलॉजी देयर वाज ए मनु, and Manu was the son of Brahma and he saved the whole world. So Manu was the savior. There were incarnations of Ram, there were incarnations of Krishna, Hanuman, right, and Sakti, and Bholenath, that is Shankar Bhagwan, Mahadev. So we have to learn the spirit of we have to learn the lessons from the Manu. So what do you learn from Manu? To save the world without thinking your religion, your race, your caste. Manu saved everybody on this world, in this world. Similarly, India should also save everybody in this world. So India wants to kick out the Britishers to become a spiritual nation. India wants to counter the Britishers to become a spiritual nation. And what is the objective of kicking out the Britishers? The objective of kicking out the Britisher is just not to become a state, but to become a spiritual state. A state whose motive, who is living not only for its citizen, but the purpose of becoming the state, from the nation to the state, is to save the whole world on grounds of humanity against all the evil powers of imperialism, colonialism. So he has compared colonialism with Ravan, right? And the spirit of the Indians as Ram, Manu. So he says that we should counter the Britishers with an attitude of Manu, where objective is not to get just the political power for the benefit of Indians. Am I clear to all of you? समझ रहे हो? तो अंग्रेजों को क्यों भगाना चाहते हैं? अंग्रेजों को इसलिए भगाना चाहते हैं क्योंकि भगा करके इंडिया अपने आप को प्रूव करेगा कि ये स्पिरिचुअल नेशन है, स्पिरिचुअल स्टेट है, जो पूरे दुनिया को बचाने के लिए राष्ट्र बन रहा है और राज्य बन रहा है. नेशन स्टेट क्यों इंडिया बनना चाहता है? टू सेव द होल वर्ल्ड एज मनु सेव्ड. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू अंडरस्टूड दिस when he compares with Manu? So purpose is not to make India a political country only for Hindus. जी नहीं, this is not the objective of Aurobindo Ghosh. You should have the faith, belief. You should believe in this idea that you are born in this country. Why only in this country? Why only in India? Why only in Bengal? Why Bengali people? Because they have become enough a victim. They have shown enough cowardice behavior. Now it is the time for them to reincarnate themselves and behave like Manu, behave like Ram. take the character of the Ram, take the character of the Manu, take the character of Krishna, Hanuman, Sakti. Sakti also, you see, was born to kill Mahisasur. Hanuman was also born to kill the demons. Krishna was born to kill the Kans. Ram was born to kill Ravan. Manu was born to save the whole world. So you have to believe in this idea that you are born in this country. This is a country of gods. This is a country of spirituality. So your birth has an objective, your birth has an agenda. And what is the agenda of your birth? That you are born in this country to make India a spiritual power. And that cannot happen until and unless you kick out the Britishers and establish a spiritual state. So your birth is just not biological, your birth has a spiritual significance in this country. So you don't need a Western education to fight with the Britisher. You don't need a Western economic model to fight with the Britisher. You don't need a Western lifestyle or a Western culture. You just need the belief. If you have the belief that your birth is just not biological and it has a religious purpose, it has a spiritual purpose, and you are born with a spiritual motive, and God has sent you in India, and you are doing the God's work like Manu did the God's work. Brahma sent Manu to India to save the whole world. So you are also like a micro Manu. समझ रहे हो मेरी बात को? You are also like a Manu, like God sent Ram to earth in India to kill Ravan. So Ram was just not having a biological birth in Ayodhya, Ram Janmabhoomi. His birth was having a objective. Krishna was just not born to eat the cheese of Mathura and drink the milk of Mathura and eat the butter of the cows of Mathura or Gokul. Krishna was born with a spiritual objective. Ram was born in Ayodhya not to avail all the royal pleasure, but Ram was born with an objective, with a spiritual objective, to kill Ravan. Similarly, Sakti also took incarnation. Sakti also came down to earth too with a spiritual objective. So the Hinduism is teaching you that your birth is just not biological. We all have some kind of spiritual objective and spiritual significance of our birth. And if you realize, then God will give you power. The belief system will give you power to fight with these Britishers. So power will not come from the material conditions. Power will not come from a Western education. That power is ephemeral, short term, and have a short life expectancy. The real power comes when you realize that there is a spiritual relation between you and the God, and whatever you are doing, you have complete conviction that you are just following the orders of the God. So if you strongly believe that your birth has a spiritual objective, whatever you are doing is not your job, it is the job of the God. भगवान का काम कर रहे हैं, खुदा का काम कर रहे हैं, नेक काम कर रहे हैं, by kicking out the Britishers. And after kicking out the Britishers, you are not going to enjoy the political power. After getting the power, you will become a very strong spiritual nation and you will accumulate all these powers to counter the imperial forces, colonial forces, and all these forces which are benefiting by exploiting the people. Whether it is socialist, whether it is a capitalist, whether it is colonialist, whether it is imperialistic. So India is a incarnation in itself. कितने लोगों को समझ में आया ये? His theory of nationalism, is it so? It is borrowed from the ideas of religion, but it is not for a particular religion. It is borrowed from the ideas of a religion. So if you can never fight a big war, a larger war, by ensuring your material condition, he gives the example that if people will be live in a western education are shaped by western ideas, then they will start thinking why to counter the britishers, why to fight with britishers. Even if the britishers leave India, they will be killed. If they will be killed, they will not be here on this earth to enjoy the benefits of freedom. Mr. Raunak, Mr. Anand Kumar, Mr. Romeo, Aniket Singh. So here the purpose is, so here the nationalism is the realization of your birth, is realizing the spiritual significance of your birth. So please write it. What is nationalism? Nationalism is based on the ideas of, based on the ideas on the spiritual and humanistic ideas of religion. Nationalism is based on the spiritual and humanistic ideas of religion. It is based on the spiritual and humanistic ideas of religion. It is based on a religion, but it is not for a particular religion. So you can write as in Hinduism, or you can write nationalism is the realization of spiritual significance of one's biological birth in India. Nationalism is the realization of spiritual significance of one's biological birth in India. As in Hinduism, God sent Manu, light in simple language. UPSC will give you marks for this. God sent Manu on earth to save the whole world. Similarly, Indians should realize that God have sent them in India to save the whole world, to save the whole world by countering with forces of, by countering with exploitative forces like, exploitative forces like colonialism and imperialism. Countering with exploitative forces like colonialism, yeah, and hence Indians should fight with Britishers to kick out and become a spiritual nation state, become a spiritual nation state with a spiritual objective to save the whole world rather than enjoying, rather than enjoying the political powers for Indians. ठीक है? Indians should fight with Britishers to kick out the Britishers and become a spiritual nation state with a spiritual objective to save the whole world rather than enjoying the political powers for Indians. God sent Manu on earth to save the whole world. Similarly, Indians should realize that God has sent them in India to save the whole world by by countering with exploitative forces like colonialism and imperialism. Nationalism is based on the spiritual and humanistic ideas of religion. Nationalism is the realization of spiritual significance of one's biological birth in India. आई बात समझ में? कैसा लग रहा है? Is it more explanatory or not? थोड़ा different concept है. Similarly, he gives the example of Lord Rama. Give the example of Lord Rama, that is Lord Ram was sent on this earth, was sent in India to kill, sent in India with a spiritual objective to kill Ravan, with a spiritual objective to kill Ravan. Indians should realize their spiritual significance, should realize spiritual significance of Indians should realize spiritual significance of their birth, should realize the spiritual significance of their birth, and based on this belief, they will develop more power to fight with Britishers for a longer period of time. ठीक है? So if you understand that idea, spiritual idea, you will be in a position to fight more, sacrifice more in comparison with the in comparison with the Western education, Western strength. So spiritual strength is greater than material. Spiritual strength is greater than material strength. Spiritual strength is greater than material strength. Spiritual strength is greater than material strength. So you cannot fight a long war with material strength. You need Josh, motivation, and spiritual motivation. And Indians are more spiritual in nature. That's why he linked nationalism with spiritualism so that there can be a mass coverage. If you are dependent on Western education, then everybody will not get Western education. Only few will get. So only few will become conscious about nationalism. But when you say Western education is not necessary, spiritualism is necessary, then let me tell you that even a cobbler is spiritual in India. Farmer is spiritual in India. Labor is spiritual in India. Serfs are peasants, serfs, blacksmiths, goldsmiths. Doesn't matter who you are, barbers, everybody is spiritual. Nobody is. So you can understand. So why Aurobindo Ghosh was promoting this spiritual nationalism? Because he thought that if he will link nationalism with spirituality, if he'll bring the spiritual forces in the nationalism, then he will be able to catch the attention of a more number of people, and then only nationalism can become a mass movement. So spirituality can make it a mass movement. ठीक है? And when you will ask the people to become Ram, Krishna, Manu, then it will attract the young people, because young people are desperate to show their heroism. होता है ना? Young people have a desperation. They will take this as a challenge. So they also want to show the same heroism which Rama showed, which Krishna showed, which Manu showed, which Arjun showed, which Bhim showed. समझ रहे हो मेरी बात को? बचपन में हम तीर धनुष का खेल खेलते थे. आप लोग खेलते थे कि नहीं पता नहीं. तीर धनुष का खेल खेलते थे, रामायण महाभारत चलता था, और खेल खेल में हम कहते थे कि हम राम हैं, हम इस राम बनेंगे, तुम रावण बनो. तो हर बच्चे के मन में ये फीलिंग आ जाती थी कि राम कोई हीरो है, कृष्ण कोई हीरो है. सबको राम बनना होता था, राइट. जब कोई नाटक भी खेलते थे तो सबको लगता था हम ही राम बने, हम ही अर्जुन बने, भीम बने. कोई दुर्योधन नहीं बनना चाहता था, कोई रावण नहीं बनना चाहता था. अब इसी बात से इरफान हबीब को बाद में बहुत शिकायत हुई. इरफान हबीब ने कहा कि आपने राष्ट्रवाद के अंदर में भ्रष्टाचार करके रिलीजन को घुसा दिया, और राष्ट्रवादी फोर्सेस, नेशनलिस्ट फोर्सेस को स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए, रेडिकल करने के लिए, रिवोल्यूशनाइज करने के लिए आपने रिलीजन का सहारा लिया, खासकर हिंदुइज्म का सहारा लिया. आज अंग्रेजों को भगाने के लिए, सत्ता प्राप्त करने के लिए, पॉलिटिकल पावर लेने के लिए, जब राम, गणेश चतुर्थी, रामनवमी, दुर्गा पूजा, ये सब क्यों किया जाता है? ये सारे पॉपुलर फेस्टिवल्स जो आप देखते हैं, ये सारे फेस्टिवल्स क्या हैं? इट इज एन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ अवर subjugated subjugation, It is an expression of our subjugation during colonialism. Especially Durga Puja. In Durga Puja, you see that people become more nationalistic and they start violating the rules, regulations as if they are still living under a colonial rule. Because during the colonial days only, जब भारत में colonialism बढ़ने लगा, तभी से ये जो दशहरा है, दुर्गा पूजा है, ये हुजूम निकलने लगा. हुजूम, यू अंडरस्टैंड? हुजूम निकलता है इनका. थोड़ा पॉम्पस इन नेचर हो गया, एग्रेसिव नेचर हो गया फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेट करने का. That was basically one of the strategy to challenge the Britishers, especially during the festival times. The same hangover is still not gone. हुजूम समझते हो ना? लोग ग्रुप्स में चल रहे हैं और अपना स्ट्रेंथ दिखा रहे हैं, पावर दिखाने का एक तरीका हो गया. तो सेलिब्रेटिंग रिलीजियस फेस्टिवल बिकेम एन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ पावर. Celebrating religious festival in India is an expression of power. All of you are understanding this. So this was his idea of nationalism. It was spiritual in nature and it was based on belief system. It rejected. So he said the same level of commitment is required. The same belief system is required, which is required in religion. The same kind of madness is required. But it is not a political program. The agenda to kick out the Britisher is not to attain the political power and enjoy that political power, and Indians should use that political power for their enjoyment. No. आई बात समझ में? So if anybody is saying that Aurobindo Ghosh's strategy may be spiritual but it was opportunist in nature, then will you agree how far the theory of nationalism of Aurobindo Ghosh was opportunistic in nature? Will you believe that it was opportunistic in nature? Will you agree that it was opportunistic? That's why he gives the theory of a Swaraj. So for him, what is Swaraj? Swaraj has 3 dimensions. First is attaining spiritual nationalism. When you realize, Swaraj has 4 levels. First is individual realization or spiritual realization of biological birth. This is Swaraj. Spiritual realization of spiritual significance of the 1 minute. Realization of spiritual significance of biological birth. This is at individual level. ठीक है? So when you realize this, that your biological birth has a spiritual objective, right? And spiritual objective at national level and at international level. So when you realize this, that means Swara, you have reached Swaraj at individual level. Second is, based on this realization, you become ready to kick out the Britishers. That is nationalism. You start practicing a spiritual nationalism, right? And after kicking out the Britishers, the next stage is you become a spiritual state. You become a spiritual state. What is the meaning of spiritual state? You have an international objective, spiritual state, whose objective is to enjoy political power or to save the international world, to save whole world. So this is Swaraj at international level. After becoming a state with all powers, you are using your political powers to save the whole world. This is Swaraj at international level. And what is a Swaraj at a national level? When you are fighting with the Britishers, kicking out the Britishers. तो कितने स्टेज में है? सबसे पहले आपका रियलाइजेशन होता है, फिर आप नेशनलिज्म के मूवमेंट में कूद पड़ते हो, सेक्रीफाइस करने के लिए तैयार हो, जेल जाने के लिए तैयार हो, है कि नहीं? किसी से डर नहीं लग रहा है, कोई फियर नहीं है, वो फ्रीडम है। जब आप रियलाइज कर लिए और अब आप नेशनलिज्म में जाने के लिए तैयार हैं, इसमें सेक्रीफाइस है, कोई फियर नहीं है, बिलीफ है, तो फ्रीडम इज बिलीफ, फ्रीडम इज लैक ऑफ फियर, फ्रीडम इज प्रेजेंस ऑफ सेक्रीफाइस. This is the freedom. So if anybody will ask you what is freedom as per Aurobindo Ghosh, so freedom of Aurobindo Ghosh is when you have no fear to go jail, when you have no fear to sacrifice your life for the country. That is a freedom. When you have complete belief that your objective is to kick out the when you have complete belief that your birth has a spiritual significance and the only objective of your life is to follow the God's command, kick out these Britishers and make India a spiritual state so that India can save the other countries as well. आई बात समझ में? अब इसी स्पिरिचुअल स्टेट के बनने में तो पहले हम क्या बनते हैं? पहले इंडिविजुअल है, उससे नेशनलिज्म आई, उससे स्पिरिचुअल स्टेट बने। ये 3 स्टेज है। यहां से यहां में बिलीफ चाहिए, राइट? अब जब आप नेशनलिज्म से जब आप स्पिरिचुअल स्टेट बनते हैं, उस बीच में आपको ब्रिटिशर से लड़ना होगा। यहीं पर इसने एक टर्म यूज किया है, पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस। सो पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस कोई आइडियल नहीं है, स्ट्रेटेजी है। सो व्हाट इज अ पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस? दैट मीन्स यू हैव द स्पिरिचुअल पावर टू रेसिस्ट द ब्रिटिश फोर्सेस। ब्रिटिशर्स के जाल में नहीं फंसना है। पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस, यू विल नॉट show any cooperation with the Britishers. आया समझ में? You will not show. अब सवाल यह है कि क्या पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस वायलेंट है या नॉन वायलेंट है? तो यहां पे ये कहते हैं कि चूंकि पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस कोई आइडियल नहीं है, कोई ये नहीं है हमारा, पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस स्ट्रेटेजी है, तो ये वायलेंट भी होगा, नॉन वायलेंट भी होगा, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द सिचुएशन, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द सर्कमस्टेंसेस। सो इवन इफ यू आर वायलेंट, you should not feel immoral about being violent because your larger objective is spiritual. आप भगवान का काम कर रहे हो, खुदा का काम कर रहे हो। In order to become a spiritual state, if you are using the violence to counter the Britishers, then you should not hesitate in doing the violence. But you should not do violence unnecessarily. You should not do violence unnecessarily. So passive resistance means you are showing the resistance to the British rule. Boycott of foreign goods, yes. So he was in the favor of boycotting the foreign goods, but he said nationalism is just not Swadeshi, because if there will be Swadeshi, this will bring material prosperity. And when you are finally, so Swadeshi is also selfish in nature. You are thinking only for the economic development of your country. So that's why he did not बिलीव्ड इन स्वदेशी. क्वेश्चन आएगा कि अरविंदो घोष में से इनमें से कौन सी थ्योरी है जिसपे उनका फोकस नहीं था. एक होगा पैसिव रेसिस्टेंस, एक होगा इंटीग्रल योगा, एक होगा स्वदेशी, एक होगा स्पिरिचुअल नेशनलिज्म. आंसर क्या है? स्वदेशी. स्वदेशी पे इनका कभी भी फोकस नहीं है, क्योंकि हम नेशन इसलिए नहीं बन रहे कि इंडिया एक इकोनॉमिकली पावर हाउस बने. तो स्वदेशी में एक सेल्फिशनेस है टू बिकम ए इकोनॉमिक पावर हाउस. सो दैट्स व्हाई ही डजंट फेवर स्वदेशी. He says you should not show any cooperation to the Britishers, but if Britishers are cooperating with you, then you should also cooperate with the Britishers. So if Britishers are good with you, then unnecessarily you will not be good, or unnecessarily you will not be bad. So there you can become non-violent. So you will be non-violent only when the Britishers are fitting in your larger scheme of things. And what is your larger scheme of things? To kick out the Britishers, take the political power, become a spiritual state. कैसा लग रहा है? एंजॉय कर रहे हो? अच्छा, यहां जो लेक्चर में आप पढ़ते हैं उससे जो कंटेंट मिलता है, उस कंपेयर किए हो कभी? इस यू हैव कंपेयर्ड दिस कंटेंट? टेल मी फ्रेंकली. Though we all know it is no more a I am not criticizing anybody, or I am not comparing myself with anybody, but I just wanted to know that what the students are feeling. Are they feeling, do they get a feeling of confidence, or do they feel underconfident with this content? Aniket Singh says, I have not compared yet. Romeo, nobody has compared with anybody, any popular teacher. The lectures, at least. Notes, not the PDF notes which I am sending to you. I am talking about the notes which you get after understanding my class. Like you see, अरविंदो घोष में मैंने क्या बताया? 3 स्टेज पर है: इंडिविजुअल लेवल, नेशनलिस्टिक लेवल एंड स्टेट लेवल. जब हम स्टेट लेवल पे जाते हैं तो इंटरनेशनल स्वराज ऑब्जेक्टिव हो जाता है. तो यहाँ का जो स्वराज है वो थोड़ा स्पिरिचुअल है, जिसका लॉन्ग टर्म मनु की तरह प्लान है. So Romeo, you have compared any topic, then please tell your experience, good or bad. I will accept both of them. That doesn't mean that I only want to know only good part. If there is anything wrong, then I will definitely work on that, and next time I will make a better class. So no, because you see Swadeshi, you are doing it because you are hating the Britishers, British goods. You do not have any spiritual agenda involved in Swadeshi. Here you do not. Here in Swadeshi, it doesn't have any spiritual plan, but passive resistance has a spiritual plan. Swaraj has a spiritual plan. Freedom has a spiritual plan. Integral yoga. What is integral yoga? आया समझ में? Integral yoga, which is the yoga which is not done only for the physical fitness. So you are doing all the yoga to realize again, everything is related with spiritualism. So all kinds of the yoga you should integrate all kinds of yoga. You should do all kinds of yoga whose objective will be to make you spiritual, to give you a spiritual realization. To give you a spiritual realization. Spiritual realization. ठीक है, so now we will start. Any doubts in this? So we have completed two, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan and Sir Syed Ahmed Khan and Aurobindo Ghosh. We will start M.K. Gandhi, Ambedkar, and then M.N. Roy. So three scholars are there. So M.K. Gandhi. We have learned Gandhi in our WPT also we have learned. Cosmopolitan view is not in the syllabus. So why to study? I just give you an introduction of cosmopolitan view by Rabindranath Tagore, and you can just see Rabindranath Tagore's view on nationalism on internet. Any problem, then please tell. सिलेबस में जो नहीं है उसको क्यों पढ़ना है? नहीं आएगा क्वेश्चन. So we will see M.K. Gandhi. Gandhi ji. So there are many theories. His theories on Swaraj, his theories on. So now mostly people ask the question about passive resistance. So we will understand passive resistance and Satyagraha. So basically, M.K. Gandhi's theory is of Swaraj, Satyagraha, non-violence, then bread labor, then सर्वोदया, then a trusteeship state, राम राज्य, ठीक है, नॉन वायलेंस रूरल इकोनॉमी, ये सब करवा रखा है इन वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट ओनली. हिज व्यूज ऑन मॉडर्नाइजेशन, व्यूज ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी, जो नहीं करवाया, व्यूज ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी, व्यूज ऑन मॉडर्नाइजेशन करेंगे, एंड व्यूज ऑन नेशनलिज्म. ठीक है, एंड व्यूज ऑन मीन्स एंड द स्टेट, व्यूज ऑन मीन्स एंड स्टेट. ऑफ कोर्स एक मिस हो गया, और वो क्या था, विलेज पंचायत, दैट इज विलेज रिपब्लिक. तो इन आवर वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट वी हैव सीन गांधीज्म. देयर वी कंप्लीट विलेज रिपब्लिक, वी कंप्लीटेड स्वराज, सर्वोदय, सत्याग्रह, नॉन वायलेंस, ट्रस्टीशिप, ये सब हो चुका है. नियो वेदांता मिस हो गया. थैंक यू. व्हाट इज नियो वेदांता? नियो वेदांता इज बेसिकली, sorry for that, but this man, our man, who is this? He was influenced by Vivekananda, and he was also Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. So when Bankim Chandra Chatterjee said Bharat Mata ki Jai, so he also believed in that people should say Bharat Mata ki Jai. लेकिन सिर्फ भारत माता की जय कह देने से कुछ नहीं होता है. तो ये इन्होंने भी कहा था कि भारत माता की जय चिल्ला देने से कोई राष्ट्रवादी नहीं हो जाता है. सेक्रीफाइस भी करना होगा, सिर्फ चिल्लाने से नहीं होगा. ठीक है. विवेकानंद ने थ्योरी दी थी वेदांता, और इनको ना न्यू वेदांता. न्यू वेदांता मीन्स रिमूविंग ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ अनटचेबिलिटी, और वेदों में, वेदों के आड़ में जो भी गलत हो रहा है, जिससे हमारा समाज कमजोर हो रहा है. यानी नियो वेदांता को अगर हम सिंपल लैंग्वेज में बोले तो व्हाट इज नियो वेदांता? नियो वेदांता इज न्यू वर्जन ऑफ वेदास whose which has a spiritual objective to save all kinds of victims in a society. तो वो चाहे वो कास्ट बेस्ड विक्टिम हो, सेक्स बेस्ड विक्टिम हो, दैट इज इराडिकेशन ऑफ all kinds of social evils which has divided the country. So since our whole community was divided, our society was divided, so whenever any foreign attacker came, they had to fight only with the Kshatriyas. The rest of all the communities, we were having 4 communities. Out of that, only one community was fighting. Nobody else was fighting. So because of this, we lost our spiritual power. And we became a political slave of the foreigners. So now we will revive the Vedas, reform the Vedas. We will give a new version. We will eradicate all kinds of social evils which has divided the country, whether it is on the religion line, or it is on the caste line, or it is on the gender line. आई बात समझ में? चलो ठीक है. We will again do Gandhi, but first we will see his theory on his opinion, his theory on nationalism. His theory on nationalism. What is so special about his nationalism? Gandhi ji did not believe in, tell me, Suraj means self rule. तो उन्होंने बोल दिया स्वराज इज नॉट जस्ट रूलिंग सेल्फ, स्वराज मीन्स रूलिंग फॉर द with a spiritual objective. Self rule is a very mechanical understanding of Swaraj. So Suraj means self rule. Swaraj means ruling by the virtue of the spiritual consciousness. So when you are attaining the political power with a spiritual objective, it becomes a Swaraj. So if you लिखवाया भी था स्वराज को, लिखवाया था ना, देखो इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे बताया था यही स्वराज है। इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे जब हमें रियलाइजेशन होता है कि हमारे बायोलॉजिकल बर्थ का रिलीजियस स्पिरिचुअल सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, तो स्वराज इज अटेनिंग द पावर टू सेव द होल वर्ल्ड। तो स्वराज में स्पिरिचुअल कंपोनेंट है, सूराज में सेल्फिश कंपोनेंट है। समझ गए बच्चों? कैसा लग रहा है? अच्छा, आप लोगों ने जीएस पॉलिटी की भी क्लास की और अब ऑप्शनल की भी क्लास कर रहे हो। What is the main difference which you feel in the GS class and in the optional class? What is the main difference which you feel in the GS class and in the optional class? Let's study the Gandhi's theory of nationalism. Gandhiji's theory on nationalism. Gandhiji's theory on nationalism. So the first thing which we will see is that his theory he did not believe in. He never believed in two nation theory. So his nationalism was not ethnic in nature. So two nation theory is, he never believed in the two nation theory. No focus, no belief, or no faith in the, so Gandhi ji rejected two nation theory. तो फिर हिंदू और मुस्लिम एक साथ कैसे रहेंगे जब दोनों के लिए अलग अलग मुल्क नहीं बनाएगा? तो इन्होंने क्या थ्योरी दी? इन्होंने कहा कि कोई भी नेशनलिज्म हेट्रेड बेस्ड नहीं हो सकता है। सो ही रिजेक्टेड हेट्रेड वर्जन ऑफ नेशनलिज्म। नो नेशनलिज्म कैन बी बेस्ड ऑन हेट्रेड। नो मैटर आप कितने भी अच्छे हो, nobody deserves to be hated and nobody deserves to hate. दुनिया में कोई भी हो, चाहे वो कोई भी हो, कितना अच्छा आदमी क्यों ना हो, अगर आप बहुत वर्चुअस हैं तो भी आप दूसरे को हेट नहीं कर सकते, और अगर आप बहुत विशियस हैं तो भी दुनिया में आपको कोई हेट नहीं कर सकता है। ये गांधी जी की ह्यूमैनिटी है। तो इनका जो नेशनलिज्म है उसमें भी एक ह्यूमनिज्म है, लेकिन वो ह्यूमनिज्म रिलीजियन से नहीं आता है। आप समझो, इसका यह मतलब नहीं हुआ कि गांधी जी रिलीजियस नहीं थे। गांधी जी रिलीजियस थे, लेकिन इंडिविजुअल लेवल पर थे। व्यक्तिगत जिंदगी में वो रिलीजियस थे, लेकिन इसका यह मतलब नहीं हुआ कि रिलीजन के टीचिंग्स पर या रिलीजन के बेसिस पर वो पूरा नेशनलिज्म खड़ा कर दे। हाँ, रिलीजन के किसी पार्ट का यूज करके हम नेशनलिज्म में ह्यूमर ला सकते हैं, लेकिन नेशनलिज्म का कोर कंटेंट या सारा का सारा कंटेंट जो नेशनलिज्म का है वो रिलीजियन के ही टीचिंग्स पर आधारित होगा। ये गलत है। क्यों गलत है उसका भी ये रीजन देंगे। चाहे आप कितने भी अच्छे ऑब्जेक्टिव से आपने मनु का नाम लिया हो, राम का नाम लिया हो, कृष्ण का नाम लिया हो, लेकिन ये क्वाइट नेचुरल है कि जो मुस्लिम समुदाय के लोग हैं जो इस मुल्क में रहते हैं वो इनको पॉजिटिवली नहीं लेंगे। आई बात समझ में? क्योंकि भारत में बहुत तरह, तो हम रिलीजियन के बेसिस पर जब भी हम एक नेशन बनाएंगे तो उस नेशनलिज्म में जाने अनजाने हेट्रेड आ ही जाएगा। जब भी आप रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिकल लेवल पर देंगे, पावर के साथ जब रिलीजियन आ जाएगा या किसी ऐसे जगह रिलीजियन घुस रहा है जहां पावर है बैठा हुआ, वो हेट्रेड का काम करता है। समझो बात को। So you have to understand that he says religion can act as a nectar, honey. If understood well, if misunderstood, it can become poison, or it can become opium. Well, opium is also poisonous. So religion should never be linked with political power. He said there is nothing wrong with religion, but you should never place the religion or talk of religion where there is a political power, because then this power will use religion for the purpose of hatred. So religion will become opium if it is under the control of political people, or if it is in the nearby of the political people. But if it is operating at an individual level or where there is no political power present, then it works like a honey. It works like a honey. It works like a nectar. समझिए मेरी बात को? How many of you understood this? So he says that nationalism should be based on humanity, empathy. Nationalism should be, you should gather the power based on humanity. And from where this humanity should come? Should it come from the religion? Or should it, or religion will give hatred, or religion will give humanity? What? Because every nationalism has the aspirations to become a state. So today or tomorrow you will get power, political power. So the humanity will get converted into hatred. अंग्रेजों से लड़ने के लिए हम दशहरा मना सकते हैं, ईद मना सकते हैं, लेकिन एक बार अंग्रेज चले जाएंगे तब हमारा जो नेशनलिज्म होगा उसमें रिलीजन की कोई जिक्र नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि तब हमारे पास पॉलिटिकल पावर होगा। इस कॉन्सेप्ट को अच्छे से समझो। जो लोग नहीं समझते हैं वो एक क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि अगर गांधी जी ने कहा कि राष्ट्रवाद में रिलीजन नहीं होना चाहिए, तो फिर उन्होंने ये क्यों गाया, वैष्णव जनते तेना कीजिए पीर पराई जानी रे? यहां भगवान का नाम क्यों लिया उन्होंने? एससी एसटी को हरिजन क्यों कह दिया? उनके ऊपर तो रिलीजन का इन्फ्लुएंस था। और वो कहते हैं कि नेशनलिज्म में रिलीजन नहीं होना चाहिए। इसका मतलब है कि जो भी गांधी के नेशनलिज्म को पढ़ा है वो समझा नहीं है, सिर्फ पढ़ा है। ह्यूमैनिटी अलग है, हेट्रेड अलग है। रिलीजन से दोनों चीजें हो सकती हैं। रिलीजन हेट्रेड फैलाने के भी काम आ सकता है, ह्यूमैनिटी फैलाने के भी काम आ सकता है। हेट्रेड तब फैलाएगा जब रिलीजन के पास पॉलिटिकल पावर होगा। आई बात समझ में? ह्यूमैनिटी तब फैलाएगा जब रिलीजन के पास स्पिरिचुअल पावर होगा। जब भारत आजाद नहीं है, अंग्रेजों के अधीन है, तो ना हिंदुओं के पास पॉलिटिकल पावर है ना मुसलमानों के पास पॉलिटिकल पावर है। उस समय अगर ये अपने अपने रिलीजन से कुछ मोरल लेसन सीख करके उसको अप्लाई करके अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ लगाते हैं तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, उससे हिंदू और मुस्लिम एक ही होंगे, यूनिटी आएगी। आ सकती है संभावना है यूनिटी आने की। गंगा जमुना तहजीब हम इसे ही कहते हैं। लेकिन जब अंग्रेज चले जाएंगे और तब जब हमें एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेट बनाने की जिम्मेवारी आएगी, तब आप यूज नहीं कर सकते हैं। देन यू कैन नॉट यूज, क्योंकि तब आपके पास पॉलिटिकल पावर आ जाएगा। और जब भी पॉलिटिकल पावर आएगा आपके पास तो आपका रिलीजन सिर्फ हेट्रेड फैलाएगा। समझ रहे हो? यस। तो ये कहते हैं कि कभी भी हेट्रेड किसी से नहीं होना चाहिए, चाहे कोई कितना भी बुरा हो, चाहे अंग्रेज। तो इनके नेशनलिज्म में ये था, ह्यूमैनिटी थी, हेट्रेड नहीं था। और ये कहते थे चाहे हिंदू मुसलमान की बात हो, अंग्रेज की भी बात हो, हम अंग्रेज से कभी हेट नहीं करेंगे। कोई अगर हमारा एनिमी भी है तो हमें उसे हेट नहीं करना चाहिए। ठीक उसी तरीके से जैसे टाइगर हमारा एनिमी है, तो ये कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि हम टाइगर से हेट्रेड भी पालें। गांधी जी ने एग्जाम्पल दिया था टाइगर का। और हमें और हमसे अगर कोई हेट करता है तो हमें ये सोचना चाहिए कि वो हमसे क्यों हेट कर रहा है, क्या रीजंस हैं हेट्रेड के। वो हमसे प्यार, यानी इन सिंपल लैंग्वेज, अगर कोई आपका दुश्मन है तो उसे नफरत तो छोड़ दो, उसे इतना प्यार करो कि वो भी तुम्हारा दोस्त बन जाए। ये मेरी थ्योरी नहीं है, गांधी जी ऐसा कह रहे हैं। तो गांधी जी कहते हैं कि रिलीजन का यूज नेशनलिज्म में मिनिमम होना चाहिए और पावर ट्रांसफर के पहले यूज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ध्यान रहे कि इससे हेट्रेड ना फैले। आई बात समझ में? कि कोई अगर आपका दुश्मन है तो उसे भी इतना प्यार करो, अपने आप को इतना रिफॉर्म कर दो कि दुश्मन भी, बिकॉज यू कैन चेंज। सो इफ एनीबडी इज हेटिंग यू, he is hating your earlier version, you change yourself, he will start liking you. When today you are not an IAS officer, so maybe some people do not like you, maybe some people hate you, maybe some people are passing negative comments on you, humiliating you, mocking you. You become an IAS officer. The same people who were hating you, mocking you, passing comments on you will try to enter into friendship with you. Am I clear or not? Am I clear or not? Understood? So he says not to hate Britishers. So he says you have to counter the Britisher, and moreover, you have to hate the evil, not sin, not the sinner. So hate sin, not the sinner. That is his first message. Nationalism should always contain empathy based nationalism. Rejected two nation theory, rejected hatred based nationalism, right? Accepted religion only till nationalism, means only for humanity purpose. So religion can be used for both humanism and hatredness. When spiritual power, religion plus spirituality equals to humanism. Religion plus political power equals to hatred, plus political power equals to hatred. चलो इस पे आगे और पढ़ेंगे कल. So we will explain all these things. Gandhi's idea of, so these are the basic ideas of nationalism. He rejected two nation theory. He rejected hatred based nationalism. He said, do not hate the Britishers, just hate their policies, hate colonialism, not the colonialist. They are also people. Try to love them so that they change their attitude towards you, and their heart will change and they will relieve you. They will automatically give you independence. So no need to be violent. By becoming non-violent, you can change the heart of the Britishers and you will gain freedom. So we will discuss more on that, but tomorrow, isn't it? Chalo, thank you for today.